Welcome to my channel, the Virginia Bushcrafter. This is the channel, if you haven't been here before, this is the channel where we learn and we practice bushcrafting, prepping, and survival skills. So with that said, guys, I want to speak to you about SOG, SOG, the acronym for Special Operations Group. Now, what is Special Operations Group? Well, an example of a Special Operation Group in America is made up of specially trained deputy marshals who respond to high threats and emergency situations. Now, Special Operation Group can be part of the military. It can be a part of any organization. But that is where SOG originated, Special Operations Group. Now, before I tell you about this knife, I want to let you know that this knife was gifted to me from a content creator. And that content creator is my mother's Spark, sometimes known as MMS. And if you haven't been over to her channel, I think you should go and check it out, because on her channel, she analyzes current events for future preparedness. So thank you, my mother Sparks. So let's talk about this knife, SOG. Now, this knife is made in America. It went into production in 2017, and it is basically a field knife. It is not specific to bushcrafting, camping, fishing, or hunting. It is an all-around field knife. Now, this knife, from end to end, from this end to the end of this pommel, is 8.5 inches, and this knife weighs 37 ounces. So let's talk about the blade of this knife. All right, this knife is steel and is 17 CR 7 MOV. Now, what does 7 CR 17 MOV means? It is steel. It is a steel that is made for budget knives and fixed blades. Now, it's very high in chromium, which makes great for corrosion resistance, wear resistance, and sharpness. Now, this knife has a Rockwell hardness between 54 and 58. Now, with the 7CR 17 MOV, the highest that the Rockwell hardness can be is 60 to 63. Now, the 60 to 63, it is a harder steel, and if pressed hard or used improperly, it can chip. It is 60 to 63 is also hard to sharpen. So now, if I were a chef, I would prefer the Rockwell hardness of 60 to 63, because I'm not going to be sharpening the knife that often. 60 to 63 will retain the sharpness on the edges much longer. Now, does that outweigh or justify using a 60-63 Rockwell hardness over a 50-54 Rockwell hardness? No, not for my purposes. It all depends on what you are going to use the knife for. The 50-54, it is a softer steel. It will roll instead of chipping, and it is easier to sharpen in the field. So for a bushcrafter, I would prefer the 50-54, because if any portion of this blade roll, I can just get out my sharpener and I can put it back in line. But that is unlikely unless you abuse the knife and try to baton or split wood that has a knot in it. But as long as you use it as a bushcrafter, camper, fisher, fisherman, any field event or activity, it will suffice. So for this knife, 50-54 is great. Now, let's talk about the components or the properties of this knife. This blade is 75% carbon. Now, the carbon improves hardness and wear/corrosion resistance, but a high amount of carbon will decrease the strength of the blade. And when that happens, that simply means that the blade will roll instead of chip. Now, if a blade chips, more than likely you're going to have to reprofile that edge. So that is one component, 75% carbon. Next, it is 18% chromium for tensile strength and edge retention. And the chromium enhances the corrosion resistance and the wear resistance. Now, when we speak of tensile strength, that is when we take this knife and we stab it into some wood and we shift left to right. That's if you want to dig something out of some wood, but as long as you don't abuse the knife, use the knife what is for its purpose. So there we have the 75% carbon, we have the 18% chromium. Next, this blade has 6% nitrogen, which improves the strength and edge retention, and 1% of magnesium, which increases the hardness and the brittleness. So basically, this blade is equivalent to a 440A steel. Now, I'm going to do a video on steel, different measurements, contents of steel, 1095 versus 1075, Rockwell hardness, so on and so forth. But a good thing that I really like about the blade of this knife is that it is a true full tang. Now, let me just tell you quickly, the spine of this knife is 3/8 of an inch. This is a 90-degree spine, which is very, very good. True full tang, the pommel. This pommel makes it a true full tang. Without this pommel, it is a full tang. Now, this pommel, you can also use it to crush acorns. You can use it to scrape wood to get tinder. There are a number of things that you can use it to strike your ferro rod. So that is one good feature of this knife, that it is a true full tang because it has this pommel. One piece of steel all the way through. The next thing that I really like about this blade is the jimping. Jimping on the spine right here. This gives you, or gives me, a very firm grip for my thumb right here. Very good. The next thing that I really like about this is that it has a drop point. Notice here, the blade goes downward. That is the drop point. Now that is basically used for hunting, for skinning and gutting a deer, elk, moose, or any other game. And it also helps you control cuts. So you can control cuts by putting your finger here. That helps you control cuts. And also, this drop point, it has a strong tip, resisting breaks, it resists breaks, which is very crucial if you're in a survival situation. Look at the thickness of the tip. Let's see if you, it's very thick in here. Now, the cutting edge of this blade, the cutting edge here to here is 4.1 inches. And do you guys notice what kind of blade it is? It's a recurve blade. Here we have the belly of the blade, but ever so slightly we have a recurve in here. There is the recurve. Now, the front has a sweeping curve, which is good for slicing. Sweeping curve right here. It's good for slicing and detailed cuts, you know, cutting edge. And the recurve portion itself, under here, let's see. The recurve portion here is good for feather sticking and carving. Yeah, right in here. So you can get a very good grip here and just basically make your feather sticks this way. Another great asset that this blade has, it has a choil. Let's see. It has a choil right here. This choil is used for the ferro rod. Putting the ferro rod here and pulling backwards. This knife is also a hollow grind, which is good for slicing. If you notice, here's the flat grind here, a bevel right here, and then some of the steel is ground out here, and then you have another angle that leads to the edge, which is a 0 degree angle. So that is a hollow grind, which is good for slicing, good for thin and soft materials. It also has a lanyard hole. You can see the lanyard hole right here. It's very good. And of course, the pommel. Very good feature there. Now let's talk about the handle. The handle, it is thermoplastic rubber, which it gives you an improved grip. You won't get tired using this knife. Thermal rubber handle improves the grip. Now the grip has finger contours. If you notice here, there's a finger contour for the forefinger, and here's a contour for the pinky finger. So it has the forefinger and the pinky. And if you notice, the contour has what? It has jimping. Outstanding features on this field knife, guys. Very outstanding. Now, with all the jimping, the thermoplastic rubber handle, very comfortable, very comfortable. Even if this gets wet, with all the jimping and the contours, very, very little slippage, if any. Now this knife is very balanced. Very balanced. And one of the great features, again, with this pommel on the end, with the jimping, forefinger, pinky finger here, the reverse grip, very good. So that's the blade and the handle, but let's talk about this sheath. The sheath in and of itself, it's hard molded nylon sheath with a belt clip. It's a belt clip right here. It also has secondary attachments. Secondary attachments. There's a hole here. Secondary attachments. Very good, very good. It also has a groove for cutting cord when the knife is in the sheath. So, how this operates, now you can see the blade right here. And I'm going to demonstrate this, but what you do is put some fishing line, bank line, paracord, rope, put it in here, pull both ends, and it will cut. And this sheath also has a drain hole. If you look, let's see, right here. Not this one, but let's see if you can, right in there, there's a drain hole. So if water gets in there, you're not gonna have to worry about your knife rusting at all. And also with this belt clip, it's a low profile when it's on the side view. You can also pocket carry this as well as scout carry it. You can scout carry it by putting in some zip ties through here, 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 and here, and wear it horizontally on your belt. It can also be worn as a boot knife. So essentially, it's a good camp field knife. And I'm going to do some demonstrations where I'm going to actually cut wood, you know, which is breaking fibers. You're separating when you cut. Slicing, you're going along with the grain of the wood, but when we cut, we are breaking fibers. I'm going to do some batoning, which is actually creating or making fuel. Anything that is wrist size, I'm going to baton it. I'm going to do some chopping to make some feather sticks. I'm going to do some planing to make feather sticks. I'm going to use the back of the spine to make some tinder. And also with this recurve, you can put your thumb here and assist you in making toggles and notches. So very, very nice field knife. And I will put this knife in my rotation. So guys, let's go outdoors and have some fun with this SOG Special Operations Group knife. Hey guys, I want to give you some demonstrations of this knife, of how well it performs. Again, I think it's more or less up to the user as opposed to the knife. So the first thing I want to show you that you can actually cut with this knife. Not speaking of slicing, but cutting, breaking fibers. So let's get a piece of wood. And let me put you in focus. If you wanted to make some toggles, here's one way. Okay, that was relatively easy. If you need toggles this size, Here you have your toggles. That is a demonstration of actually breaking fibers. So let's say that we needed a larger piece of wood. Just by cutting notches all the way around. There you have it. Let's try a piece that is somewhat stronger. And this is called the beaver cut. As you can see, each time it is removing chips. And this is a much harder piece of wood. And there you have it. So if you were in the bush, preferably this would be done with a hatchet or an axe. But if this is all that you have, this SOG, it will cut wood for you. Now, let's look at if we needed to split wood or baton wood. If we needed to make fuel, if we took a harder piece of wood, so as you see, you can baton with this knife. You just have to be aware that it is 4.1 inches, and I would not try to split something that is 3 inches or longer. But even if something was 3 inches or wider in diameter, there are certain methods as starting on the edge and just going around. Now, if I wanted to make this into fine kindling, many methods. Again, just continue batoning the wood. if you're in the bush, you're going to need a knife to make a fire, unless you are using a bow drill. I'll just make a few more pieces of kindling. So guys, once you have your kindling, you can now do what's called feather sticking or planing. So I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration of that. One method is and here, take the opportunity to use the jimping, forefinger, pinky finger, and the thumb. Small little feather stick. Another method of making kindling is just using the drop point. And twist. Finer kindling. Very nice kindling. But if we want to continue with feather sticks, this is another method. A very strong drop point. This is where the tensile strength comes in. Don't abuse your knife, but side to side it's a tensile strength. Examples of feather sticks. So not only can you use this for wood processing, but if you need to make a toggle, easily done by just we're just going to put a slit in here. I'm going to make this a little deeper. Have a slit here, and now the process is going to be using the recurve, the recurve portion of the blade. That recurve comes in so handy. Or you could choose to do it this method. It all depends on you, but I prefer using the recurve portion of the blade. You can see the notch forming. This could be used as a pot hanger. As a quick example, if you had a pot hanger, you needed a pot hanger, you now have a pot hanger. But for this purpose, I'm going to make it just a little deeper. This knife is sharp out of the box. I have not sharpened it. I have not given it the paper test. And it's working very well. Have your pot hanger. Or a notch. Now, what if you just needed to make a toggle? This would be great. This is a toggle, but if we just want to blunt the ends a little bit, again, using the recurve portion of the blade. If you wanted to make it tent state, So there are many things that you can do with this knife. If you want to make a spear, or if you needed to make a wedge. And continue to do that until you were able to here again, jimping comes in very, very handy. And when you're making a wedge, you don't change the angle of the knife, change the angle of the wood. For an example, if this was a larger piece of wood, this would help me split it. As you can see, there's a split there. So guys, this knife is going to get used a lot. Again, this is a SOG Special Operations Group. This is a field knife, not specific to bushcrafting, camping, hunting, fishing. It is a field knife. So, since I have processed wood, what better way to show how to use the choil to make a spark. So I'm going to get a little organized here. We're going to come back, build us a fire, and have some coffee. With the choil to make a fire, I have curls and an actual bird nest. Chips back. And there we have fire that just went out. have it this time. Now we're going to put some fuel on it. Okay. All right, guys, so we have the fire going. The next thing we're going to have is some coffee. So let me go get some coffee. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I just wanted to again show you the fire that I'm making some quick coffee. As you can see, there's water that's going to be getting pretty warm pretty soon. But this fire was actually made with the SOG, again, a field knife. And again, any cutting tool that you put into your hand, I strongly encourage you to be able to use it efficiently. And the only way you do that is by learning and practicing and actually getting out in the field and doing so. But I just wanted to give you this quick demonstration of the SOG Special Operations Group knife, 4.1-inch blade, recurve, cutting edge, drop point, hollow point, jimping on the blade, choil for the ferrocerium rod, contours with jimping for your fingers, full chain. A lanyard will be going on here, and this will be in the field with me more often. I've only had it in the field with me one time, but goes to show you what you can do with a small knife. Again, whether you're using a 4.1-inch knife or a 13-inch blade, learn to use your cutting tools efficiently. If you're out in the bush, this is all you have. You can chop, you can cut wood, you can baton, you can make feather sticks, you can make toggles, you can make notches. It all depends on you. So when the coffee is ready, we'll come back and have ourselves a few cups. Guys, the rope cutter, fishing line, bank line, paracord. Here's a demonstration. Insert the rope into the cutter and you simply pull. That easy. Again, the cutter, the rope, and you just pull. All right, guys, another feature of the fantastic sheath. Cheers, everyone. Nice, good steaming coffee. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. I hope I have imparted some knowledge on you about SOG. SOG, acronym for Special Operations Group. This is the Virginia Bushcrafter signing off. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, get out in the bush and have some fun.